It's not the strongest of the species that survives, but the most adaptable to change. And I would argue that Sir Lewis Hamilton is the exception that proves the rule. He hasn't had to do all this. He didn't need to conform to the other things as far as F1 drivers and what they were doing. He didn't need to outwork anyone, because once upon a time, Sir Lewis Hamilton's gift was that he was the most naturally talented F1 peddler that I have ever seen. 2008, God tier levels. 2007 rookie, beat Fernando El Plan Alonso, a fire-breathing dragon that nobody thought anybody could beat. He just sent Michael Schumacher off into retirement for Pete's sake in 2005, 2006. But now is a different time for Sir Lewis, and the truth is finding him. We've had conversations that Sir Lewis, if he's to fix for this, will need to have a conversation with himself. He'll need to look at himself long and hard in the accountability mirror, because now people are asking questions en masse, and I'm concerned as a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan. I've been having these arguments for the past 24, 36 months, concerned about who Sir Lewis Hamilton is, not outside of the cockpit, but inside of the I don't care about all of that other rubbish, the Met Gala and the fashion and who he's dating. I've never cared about that. So long as Lewis jumps in the car and delivers, I couldn't give a fudge. Never have, never will. But now this is getting techier than techie things, because if we're talking about performance, if we're having the conversation under the umbrella heading of Lewis Hamilton's ability to deliver an unprecedented eighth, then Houston, we have a problem. Let me read you out some stats. Monaco Grand Prix, the delta between Charles Leclerc and Sir Lewis Hamilton over the course of 78 laps, 50 seconds. 50, not 10, not 12, not 50, 50. That's chaos, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury. Rounding up as near as makes no difference, 1 second per lap. Saudi Arabia, the delta between the Ferrari peddlers, the boys, both of them, who drive that their red car and the yellow badge and the black prancing horse top, 30 seconds. What are we doing? Yeah, there's been bright spots, of course. Chinese sprint, yeah, he won that one. Maybe potentially in no small part due to running the car super low, lower than the regulations would dictate you can. But then what after that? Been nowhere. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem in long form. Now, lest we forget, over the past 24, 36 months, George Russell has been roundly outperforming Sir Lewis Hamilton in qualifying. It hasn't even been close, and that's why this conversation is techier than techie things. Of course, he came in on a blaze of glory, a marketing tidal wave, the likes of which we've never seen in Formula One, touching the bloody yellow badge on the F40. Of course, Instagram settings, crazy, unprecedented settings, different levels of engagement, the likes of which we've never seen, may never ever see in F1 again. Of course, he came in on a blaze of glory. Lest we forget, Lewis Hamilton is a business. He's not a businessman. He's a business comma man. It's different for Sir Lewis Hamilton. Unprecedented levels of mainstream stardom, and it has always been that way. There's a reason for that, and we can go into that another time. But ultimately, per John Elkann, CEO of Scuderia Ferrari, red car, yellow badge, black prancing horse on top, ultimately the biggest marketing ploy that you can play, your Queen's Sacrifice declined move, is winning. Lewis Hamilton wasn't brought over to Ferrari, not to the tune of $90 million to kiki and go to the Met Gala. He wasn't. Of course, they want to build a luxury brand, no longer a sports car brand. But the best way for you to do that is to have two fire-breathing dragons in that car, firing on all cylinders. Ergo, as at the 5th of the 6th, 2025, as far as Sir Lewis Hamilton's aspect, Houston, we have a problem, because he hasn't been there, and people are realizing it now. Sir Lewis Hamilton fans, stands, extremists and fundamentalists alike have been beating the Abbot of Unreason drum for the longest time now. I said in 2021 on the back of Abu Dhabi that I'm not sure that Lewis will come back from this. So damaging emotionally was that instance. I'm not sure that Lewis will ever win another championship. To which the Sir Lewis Hamilton fans and stands said, "What are you talking about, Cameron? How very dare you take the Lord's name in vain?" About what are you talking? Of course, Lewis is going to win another championship, but sometimes in F1 and sports more broadly, the winds of opportunity open and close without anybody noticing. That's how this thing happens. Meritocracy is what F1 has always been and will always be. If you are a fire-breathing dragon, a young, hungry lion, then you buy yourself a lottery ticket. But F1, for the avoidance of doubt, is a young man's game. You know the stats already. How many F1 drivers have won at Lewis's age? 40 or older? 3 in history, and they were 100,000 years ago. Farina was the first one in 1950. Fangio won his last one in 57. 66 was Brabham. We've gone through these stats before. How many drivers have won at 3 or more teams? 1. He has a name, and his name is Fangio. Ergo, I only say that to you to help us both understand the steepness, the gradient up which of the mountain up which Sir Lewis Hamilton will need to climb, and he's not climbing it. We've gone through the stats. It's techier than techie things. He was never going to out-qualify Charles Leclerc. But then the news today that prompts me to go through this again is that Lewis Hamilton, on the back of an interview at the start of the season where he said, listen, my sole goal, my focus, the question came like this, and this is important for context. You've got a lot of things going on, Lewis. Mission 44, altruistic activities, philanthropic venture, Met Gala, music, fashion interest. You've got a lot going on. There are very many plates, Sir Lewis, that you will need to spin as at 2025. Can you do all of those things and compete for a championship? Do you not need to focus on one or other? That was the question. Lewis's answer then was this: I'm only here to focus on not my 8th championship of the drivers' variety, but my first with Scuderia Ferrari. Red car, yellow badge, black prancing horse atop. That's what Lewis said. And then you see the headlines today that Lewis Hamilton is meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer to talk about Mission 44. I'm like, hang on, houseway? What? Of course Lewis has to have a life. Of course. Listen, you can't. There is downside ramification from tethering Sir Lewis. I agree with that. You've got to let him. He's quicker for being able to go and partake in his extracurricular activity. Always has been. You've heard the story from Toto, the boy who cried wolf, that the Singapore 2018 lap happens on the back of Lewis Hamilton jet setting all over the world with a view to go and sign sponsorship deals. Chaos settings. He's always been a chaos merchant, but he's 40 years old now. And here's my supposition. But first and final answer, the Lewis Hamilton at the age of 40, with those performances that we've seen, 50 seconds adrift of Charles at Monaco, 30 seconds adrift at Saudi, now it is the time for adaptation. Lewis can't, at the age of 40 years old, move like he did when he was 25, because they're 2 different entities, are they not? And here's where it gets techier than techie things, because everybody's saying the same thing. For the longest time, Sir Lewis Hamilton fans have been dining at the restaurant of the Abbots of Unreason. Yeah, he'll be fine. But some people say that faith is belief in something without evidence. And I would put forth that we haven't seen evidence to the contrary from Sir Lewis for the longest time. And I'm not the only one anymore. People are saying that en masse. Why? Because it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Karun Chanduk's been on a mad one this season, right? Not quite batting 1,000, but close to. Definitely passes the Mendoza line. Here's what Karun Chanduk has to say about it, in and amongst others. Roll the clip.
I think it's starting to get a bit critical. I think, though, we're coming into the second third of the season now, and he's not finding the rhythm. He's not finding the consistency. Where week in, week out, he's in a happy place with the car. So Imola, woeful in qualifying, suddenly the car's brilliant in the race. And, Monaco, he wasn't quite there. He was a chunk behind Charles throughout. And I think there's got to be a degree of concern creeping in. I think when you look at the race, the fact that Charles overtook him and drove away from him quite comfortably, even before we go into the different tires and stuff later on, I'd be concerned. If I was Lewis, if I was on the Lewis side of the garage, engineers, etc., I'd be concerned about, okay, we've sort of we're nearly into halfway through the year now. We need to start understanding, is this a fundamental issue that we need to change the direction of the setup of the car? Because I'm not disputing the fact, Rafi, that he's still got the ability. He clearly does.
Yeah.
He's able to win races. We saw in China, right? But they need to find a sweet spot for him that every weekend he knows what he's got. I think.
Oh, the humanity. But Karun Chanduk is absolutely right. This is pause for thought, cause for concern now. We're judging Lewis Hamilton in long form. Normally he kicks in after, I don't know, Q1 in the season. But we're 9 races deep now and there are no green sheets. There are no signs of hope. Lewis Hamilton concurred post-race saying that there were no upshot. There's nothing that I've learned from the past 3 races. The first leg of the European Grand Prix circuit. And that's why it fills me with woe and dread. As a Sir Lewis Hamilton fan, I too was invested in him winning an 8th, but I think we can all concur now at this stage, based upon the most recent evidence, lest we wish to be abbots of unreason, disbelieving the evidence that our own eyes are presenting to us at the altar of Sir Lewis Hamilton's now consistently underperforming F1 career. What are we doing here, chat? It's a struggle, a hard video to make. It fills me with sadness and woe, but ultimately what we will not know, not now, not ever, what we won't do on this channel is sacrifice truth value nor objectivity at the altar of partisanship. They can if they want to. They can continue barking up the faith tree, believing in something sans evidence, but I can't on here. No, I will not. No, I shall not. Oh, the humanity.